Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, I did want to talk about briefly today about, friends holding you accountable. And obviously, this is just a video that I wanted to do based upon like my personal experience. So I did want to share with you guys, and first off, thank you for tuning in. But I did want to share, first off, I don't know, I don't know. I have always been told in my life that the average, you only get one or two or three really good friends in life, right? And that's throughout your entire life. Um, but I never what's the word? I never I will say this, I had a lot of people at one point in my life who I felt like I could not depend on, I could not call on, I could not count on, people who use criticism, and I mean very harsh criticism, as a means to try to hold me accountable. People who really weren't for me, right, at all. And there were a lot of things that obviously throughout my life, because I assumed that, because these people were family or because I had known them for forever, that I had an obligation and a duty to be there, and support them, only to be disappointed time and time again, especially when I needed someone, I remember countless times where I would go and talk about my dreams and the things that I wanted to do, and I didn't get the support that I really wanted in that. And I think part of it is because a lot of people that I was associated with, they wouldn't even understand some of the things that I wanted to do, they have never done, right? So how could you give advice on something you really don't know about? Right. There were a lot of people in my life who I felt like were intentionally, maybe not intentionally, I take that back, but were holding me back, right? For whatever reason that may be. And obviously, as a result, I got rid of all of those people and started anew. And recently, I would say within the last 5 to 6 years, I've accumulated some folks, right? Some folks, um, who really genuinely support me and support my endeavors. And I think that's very important. Um, but with that support also comes accountability. You guys know that I had been dealing with some frustrations, as it pertains to my everyday life. And I remember complaining, obviously, to some friends, right? Because, it's just what it is. And it's very interesting because my friends always bring it back to essentially what my father would say, keeping my eye on the prize, right? Ultimately reminding me that what I'm concerned about can be changed and fixed and rectified if I kept my eyes on the prize and stayed true, one, to me, but stayed focused on what it is that I set forth to do. And so what's very interesting is I have now developed friendships where I can at least share my piece, right? And share it, and they're going to engage with me and 9 times out of 10 be on my side, right? Which is very like, it's cool to see. But also they hold me accountable. So if I'm ever complaining about something a little too long, it's like, well, what's the solution? You know, what are you going to do to fix it? And they hold me accountable, meaning that every time I speak to these people, we're always talking about my steps, right? The things that I've taken or the things that I need to do in order to better myself and or better my life. And I just realized that today, like I genuinely have support. And it may not come, in quantity, right? But I'm learning that quality over quantity will always be something that I would prefer, right? I think when you're younger, you want everybody to like you and you want to make all these friends, but a lot of people don't realize just because a person is smiling in your face don't mean they got your back. Don't mean that they really truly support you at the end of the day. Sometimes just knowing you is a flex, right? Being able to say, yeah, I know that person, right? But not necessarily putting in the work, right? And so I've left that chapter a long time ago, right, of my life where I just felt like everybody was my friend, right? Everybody had my back unless they showed obvious colors. I'm past that phase of naivety, right? I don't hang out with a lot of folks. Obviously, I keep my personal space to me. I don't do a whole lot in terms of friendships. I'm not a people pleaser anymore. And so I've really worked hard to uh build, even if it's just one or two people, right? I've worked really hard, I feel like, to build certain friendships. I feel like that came at a time where I probably needed that support the most. And again, accountability, I want to be clear, is not always me telling you you did something wrong, right? Sometimes it's just ensuring that you stick to your goals. Now, what I will say is my friends don't hound me about my goals because I'm probably 9 times out of 10, although I like my friends and I care about them, right? I think I'm a little bit more ambitious in that sense, right? So it's almost like they trust me to do what I say I'm gonna do. But they also, like I said, if I want to complain about my day, they'll listen, they'll chime in, they'll, have my back. But at the same time, they go back to, well, what are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do to change the narrative? Because ultimately you can complain and you can complain and you can complain, but child, if you ain't doing nothing, right? I mean, what are you doing to fix it? Right. So I just think that I was not reminiscing, but kind of looking over my life, and I've got other situations coming in where obviously, like, I had another death in my family, you guys. And the funeral is on Monday. I don't know that I'll be in attendance. But in dealing with the fact that, like, my family reached out to me, right? And I hadn't heard from them for like it's almost been like 2 years. It's been like a year and a half, maybe. It'll be 2 years in October. I haven't talked to a lot of my family. I don't talk to a lot of my family, and that is well earned. Right. If you guys only knew all the stuff that I've been through as a result of my family, and not really as a result of, but I feel like my family's never really been my family, right? They've betrayed me in ways that I just feel like if I was dealing with a friend, I would have cut the friendship off. So I do not, I've made it clear to myself, and after the experience that Thanksgiving and the accident that I got into, and realizing how my family reacted to that accident, and knowing that my support wasn't with my family, my support was with the roommate that I had at the time. Believe it or not, my roommate cared more for me in that situation than my family. And so if you can imagine, I tried to hang out with family and cousins, and after a while, like I told you guys, I had to get real with the situation, realizing that I did not fit in those spaces anymore, right? I feel like I had outgrown a lot of the things that I felt like were holding me back, right? And so what happens is when you have friendships and relationships and you care about people, you ultimately want to do anything that you can to show them that you love them and that you support them and that you're loyal to them and that you got their back. But what happened to me was that I realized that even though I was giving these things in return, I was doing everything that I felt like my family wanted me to do, right? Just to get some sort of validation and approval from these folks. And I told you guys, obviously, I went through the process on live mentally, right? I don't know how many times that I uploaded a video just detailing my experiences with them. And then finally coming to the conclusion that I just didn't want to keep, trying to make a square peg fit into a manhole, right? And so obviously now that people are passing away, because a lot of my family is a lot older than me, right? They're like in their 60s, right? And I don't know, but that's just what it is. A lot of people are passing away. And so I've had to really come to grips with the fact that I really don't care about some of these people. Like, I care, but I don't care enough, I don't know, to take off of work, right? I don't care enough to pull my daughter out of school to attend this funeral, right? I don't care enough to really even know about the funeral. And that's so, again, I never saw myself in this space. But when you give so much to people only for them to never give it back, you start to realize that them ain't your people, right? No matter if we're blood or not, right? Those aren't your people, right? Because let me be clear, the people I would consider my friends, the people I care about, right? If I needed something and they could do it, they'll do it, right? If I needed advice, they'll give it to me. If I need to be checked and held accountable for my actions, they'll do it. If I'm wrong about something, they'll tell me, right? Um but it's all done within love, within, reasonable. It's like it's different than what I feel like the people in my past have really done for me. And it's not all about me, let me be clear, all right? But I know that I'm a good friend. I know that I've done well by people, and people have repeatedly done me like, like I just, like I don't matter. I don't, so I'm in a space now where, one, I'm really truly accepting the fact that I've chosen not to rebuild uh, these bridges that I feel like other people have burned, right, with me. I definitely have a lot of boundaries now. And so that keeps me from really meshing with people that, are family members and stuff like that, because I'm not going to be treated like crap, right? I don't want to be an afterthought. I don't want to be, you've had my number hasn't changed. I know I gave it to you and you haven't used it, so now you want to reach out and, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you. Like all the stupid stuff that I have been dealing with, in terms of, like I said, I've put myself out there, right? And I've tried. And one thing about Pisces, we are very, very loyal individuals, right? So it's taken a lot. It's taken pretty much my entire life to say, you know what? I deserve better. And so all of this, in addition to, obviously, like I said, my everyday experiences, really have put me in a position where when I could either fly or fall, right? And not saying that people have the power over me falling. It's just, there's a lot of emotions that may or may not be there, right? And so having friends to process this with, um and through with, having people who they're like, yeah, this sucks, but you got to do what you got to do. Friends that lead me in the right direction instead of the wrong direction. Like, I've gotten rid of all the yes men's, all the people who would just say yeah, 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 and replace them with people who are grounded enough and strong enough to be like, yo, you may want to make this move, and you may want to stick to it, and you need to do it as soon as possible type shit, right? So it's very interesting, because I always felt like I can create my own support system. And someone had told me that a while ago, and I remember really like taking it to heed, right? And I genuinely feel like for the first time in all of my life, really assessing things and really processing things, that I have people who care enough about me, that they want to see me win. And I think that in itself, whether it's one, two, three people, right, is a lot. And I'm genuinely appreciative of that, right? Because again, with the levels of conversations that I've had, right, I could have gone one or two ways. I could have self-sabotaged. I could have just thrown in the towel, said I quit, right? Or I could say, you know what? What can I do? What is in my control that I can do better? What is it in my control that I can change, right? And when you have friends that are able to again, laugh with you, talk shit with you, right? Hear you out, right, on your situation, and then turn around and be like, yeah, so what you gonna do about it? That's powerful, man. And so I'm really grateful for the people that are in my life right now. I think it's very like I'm very grateful for them no matter where they are in the world. But at the same time, right? Um I have to one of my friends said the other day is that I may need to like block all my family, right? But it's interesting how it's such a contrast, right, between the people that I've had in my life over the course of the 5 years, and then my family. And I remember my dad reaching out to me, and my dad's like, well, I haven't talked to you. Like, these people feel entitled to speak to me, right? And my dad's not even my real dad. Like, no offense, but the man hasn't done much for me. Again, I've been through a lot in terms of like, being homeless. Obviously, when you're homeless, you're risking your safety. Like, you're going through a lot of shit, right? And the stuff that I went through made me realize that I do not have support. And so it doesn't matter if you're my father, or like if you're my cousin or my aunt or my mom. If I couldn't count on you, bro, I couldn't count on you. And those things, it's not a matter of me not forgiving, because obviously I've allowed these people to be able to contact me, right? Um, but it's just like, you're my father, bro. If anybody was supposed to protect me, you were. Right. So there's certain things that you guys, I just don't have it in me to continue making excuses for people. Right. Knowing that they had the means to help and they refused to, they had the means to ensure that I was safe. And again, I take that all in with understanding that my life journey was meant for me to live for a reason, right? So understanding that all the pain and all the sacrifice and all the people pleasing and all the shit that I've dealt with, I had to go through for a reason. I recognize that. I understand that. But at the same time, people should be held accountable for their choices and their actions as it pertains to other people. And so I've gotten to a point, you guys, where I am no longer interested, right? And in half love and half, not like no love, fake love. And so it's very interesting because I'm being shown that I have support on one side, right? So it's like all white, everything's bright. And then on the other side, everything is just so dark and gloomy, right? And the people cannot understand why. They just, in their mind, what my dad told me, he's like, "Well, yeah, I haven't heard from you." And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Because, whether or not you understand what I've gone through and why it impacts me the way it impacts me, it impacts me." Sorry. And so for me, I heal at my own pace. I'm done in this space of being, "Oh, well, you just need to get over that." No, that's not how life works for me. And it's unfortunate that it was strangers, people who were not my family, that took up for me, that protected me, that guided me, right? All the things that I felt like I needed supported me, right? So now I look at the people I feel like, that were always there for me a little different. And so I don't think that my reflection on my relationships is something that is not necessary. I feel like it's happening for a reason, because normally when this level of reflection is occurring and I'm just kind of thinking about the different aspects of my life and what makes me me, a whole new understanding is coming about, right? A whole new level of appreciation is coming about. So I just wanted to share that with you guys really briefly. Real friends hold friends accountable, right? And it doesn't look like an attack. It doesn't look like I'm picking on you or bullying you. It's done with love and it's done genuinely. And you know when it's done with love because you feel good after the conversation, right? So I appreciate my friends. I'm really grateful for everybody that is really in my life at this time, that I would consider a friend. And just know that that's how the friendship should be. It should never be that you feel unhappy or you're scared to tell people about what's going on, or that if you need help from this person, you cannot count on them, stuff like that, right? They don't have the wisdom to kind of help you or navigate certain situations, or the wisdom and the caring to call you out on your shit and hold your feet to the fire. So that's all I got to say, y'all. I'm out. Peace.